Hey guys, welcome back. I have put about 500 miles on the M3 since the rod bearing job, and I wanted to kind of talk about the job, about some questions you guys had, and the anxiety that it's relieved in driving this car. And you know what? I drive this car about 80 miles a day, so I know there's some angry comments about, oh, it's so dirty, but you know, this really is my daily. And when it's below freezing like this, if you try to wash the car, it all just turns into an icebox. So upon starting the car, I actually wanted to see if you guys do this. Sometimes, a lot of times, you know, especially if I have a key, I'll turn it, wait for the fuel pump to prime before I go ahead and turn it over. With this car, if you have your foot on the brake and you hit the button, it's going to just start. So a lot of times when I get in, I do this. Let the fuel pump prime, then brake, and start. Is that overkill? Am I crazy? Maybe. So 584 miles since the rod bearings were done. And let's start this video with some excuses. So you'll see the service thing here, and it's because it wants me to change my brake pads. It says they are worn to the minimum thickness. Have the pads replaced by the nearest BMW center. Absolutely not, ever, never, don't do that. Go to an independent shop unless you're under warranty. The reason why that means nothing is because I don't have any of those pad wear sensors hooked up. I'm on race pads, and I don't even think you can put the sensors on those pads. So what happens is, if the car, this is what I'm told, if it doesn't sense that you've plugged in or unplugged and replugged pad wear sensors within 50,000 miles of a brake job, it will just trigger that warning. And you can't turn it off. You have to leave it. So that's why even when I put down my e-brake, I'm still going to have that red brake light. So that's the situation. The next thing to talk about is warming up your car. So a lot of folks are saying that one of the big problems that rod bearings prematurely wear is because people start driving before they've warmed up their car. Now, that doesn't mean let your car sit for 10-20 minutes idling. It just means that you should, start your car, let it get a tiny bit of heat in it, and then just drive nicely, like this. We're not going to peel out of the driveway. We're just going to let it do low RPM, low load, that kind of thing. More importantly, honestly, I think than the bearings were the motor mounts. My motor mounts were absolutely shot, and changing the motor mounts has completely changed the way this car operates and drives. Often the car would be very clunky because all of these things you're doing when you're engaging a gear, downshifting, slowing down for things, it's rocking that motor, and the whole thing is moving, and it's just bouncing on that subframe. Now with the new motor mounts, everything feels so much smoother. As I approach a stop, I don't feel the clunk of every downshift, and it's beautiful. Now, obviously that wouldn't have blown up my motor like a worn rod bearing might, but it's so refreshing to have a nice motor mount. I'm a BMW driver, and I didn't use a blinker, so you can go ahead and comment about that. The anxiety has not gone away with this car. I feel a little better now that I don't have potentially grenade pin pulled rod bearings sitting in the bottom end of this car. But there's always a sense of fear with these cars, and that's probably more my personality than the car. So the reality is I should just be calm and relaxed, and I've put 500 miles on the car. Speaking of, there's really no break-in period for new rod bearings. I see that as a big question. It's a good idea that when you've done any service like that, be cautious at first. So I put about 100 miles, 200 miles on the car before I let it rev out at all. Maybe 4,000 RPM or so, with pretty low load. Because those are the first moments of starting up are probably when, if something went wrong, if something wasn't torqued correctly, if something was misplaced, if something didn't go back together the way it should have, that's when it's going to actually cause you problems. So once you get a little bit of confidence in the car and you know that it's not going to blow up on you and you can go drive it, that's when you can start kind of winding it out a little bit. So I do see that there are people that go way overboard and they say, okay, I keep it under 4,000 RPM for the first 100 miles, then under 7,000 RPM for the first 600 miles, and then I do an oil change at 1,000 miles, and then it's good to go. Like, that's just not really a thing. But if that's what makes you sleep well at night, by all means, go for it. There's no harm in a little bit of overkill break-in period. That's fine. That's not a big deal. Bearing choice is another thing that there's going to be a lot of comments about, and I went with a coated bearing. The reason I did that was because I drive this car year round, and I drive it a lot, and it has to see cold starts. And when I say cold starts, I don't mean like, oh man, listen to that exhaust. I mean like 0 degree Fahrenheit cold starts. In my opinion, I think that a coated bearing is going to give me more of a shot at those very, viscous oil situations of not damaging a bearing on the crank journal. So that's my thought. I could be wrong. It could be, some folks are saying, well, you've coated these VAC bearings, so now you've totally screwed up the clearances. It's going to be, screw it. We're just going to go straight. You've screwed up the clearances, so now everything you do is more dangerous, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, like, those VAC bearings are actually an improved clearance bearing, and then they're coated, so if anything, they're probably close to the same clearance. Keep in mind that a lot of people that sound off on these forums and these groups aren't mechanics. They're not scientists. They base pretty much most of what they do off of what they've heard. Now, there are folks out there who fortunately have gone out and really done the work, and I'm very thankful for the type of folks who will install, let's say, calico coated VAC bearings, and then 15,000 miles later pull them out of an engine and measure them and see how they look. And that's good data. That's what I like to see. But if you're just going to go and say BE bearings are nothing because of the clearances, well, that very well may be true. That's great, and that's something that makes a lot of sense. However, if you aren't pulling them out of the car and showing me the improvement or the benefit, then you've really got nothing. My future plans for this car are sort of unknown. I think I've taken care of all the E92 demons so far. So I've done the throttle actuators after they failed. I've replaced the rod bearings before they failed. I replaced the motor mounts. I've done the maintenance. I've done rigorous oil changes, all that fun stuff. And that's all because this car has been a daily driver / track car, which is really not a position you want to put any car in. Winters are pretty harsh on cars in New England. One of the things that I would like to do with this car in order to help it in those cold starts is I'm probably going to throw on a little adhesive heating pad that you can plug into an outlet to help warm up the oil pan. So it'll stick to the oil pan. It'll help you plug it in, warm up the oil, and that way you get a little bit of heat in that oil before you actually turn it over. Maybe plug it in for 20 minutes. A new law in Massachusetts, or I don't know if it's new, it's probably just going to be enforced more this year, is that you're not allowed to idle your car for more than 5 minutes. Now, like I said earlier, you really shouldn't be doing that to begin with. You should be starting it, you maybe let it sit for a minute or so, and then go ahead and start driving to get temperature into that oil and let everything warm up. But it would be nice to know that there's a little bit of heat in this 10W60 before you go ahead and really start it. Let's see, can I do this? I don't care. This is a tiny town. The weirdest yield sign. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this car for another year or however many miles I want to put on it. It's like a vampire. It likes to bleed your wallet dry because it just says, oh, hey, I need $1,000 here. I need $1,000 there. But would I go out and replace it with a newer M3? I really don't think so. At first, I thought the S55 would be the bulletproof choice, and it seemed that way. But the more I see from track rats with F80 M3s, the more that engine does not make me feel very comfortable. And although it doesn't have the rod bearing issues that this S65 has, the S55 It seems to have some oiling issues with the turbo and main bearing issues and crank walk, and they blow up quite often from what I'm seeing. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, let me know in the comments below. I know they can certainly take a hefty tune and put down a lot of power, but I guess they're maybe not so great for full-blown track abuse. The anxiety of rod bearings is twofold. The first part of it is that you're stressed out that the rod bearings, your OEM rod bearings, are going to fail on you. The second part is that you're fearful that the act of changing it, the surgery behind it, will fail. And so by going in and doing a preemptive surgery on your car, you'll actually be killing it. So it's kind of like having your 80-year-old grandfather who knows he has a history of heart disease in his family, and he probably needs a procedure, but the procedure itself is pretty risky. So stupid BMW stocks. So do you go ahead, that's why nobody uses blinkers in BMWs. So do you go ahead and hope for the best, knowing that you've got good oil analysis and everything's working out, and just run the old bearings? Or do you go in and do the surgery and replace your bearings early, knowing that there's a potential risk that something could go wrong? That's really what it comes down to. And then starting the car for the first time after the rod bearing job, I literally held my breath. That was terrifying, because I thought it's either going to run, which is most likely, or that very small chance that something was done improperly, and you start the car and it just grenades on you immediately. But we're pretty much up to temp. Let's listen to it. As you can see, the car is alive and well after the rod bearing job, and I'm pretty happy that it's been done. It gives me a lot more confidence driving around every day in it, and especially coming up on a probably very cold winter where this thing's going to have to be started in very cold temperatures. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. And I don't actually need to replace this.